Have you noticed that there's like kind of this like very big, dark, oppressive cloud hovering over all of us? So I'm a fan of the internet. I spend a lot of my time on it, arguably way too much time, which I think a lot of people can relate to. The internet to me right now feels very much like it's in its dark age. Like in the beginning, the people posting on platforms were posting because they had something they wanted to share, and they thought, it's very fun and like feels innocent and nostalgic. So that was the internet in its infancy. And right now, I would describe that the internet has surpassed infancy and is now in its toddlerhood. The internet is in its toddler era. And if I know anything about toddlers, is that it's that stage of life where you're pushing boundaries. You're trying to figure out like what's allowed, what isn't allowed, what you can get away with.
Let me see what you have. No!
We got all sorts of shady people trying to take advantage of people. It's very much like what I said in my last video. Humans will optimize the fun out of everything given the chance. And basically, I think that's like kind of what we're feeling, like a lot of just like people trying to exploit social media and basic human behavior and biology and like survival mechanisms in our brain, and those are being exploited by people trying to make a profit, and that definitely sucks. I want to point out that the attention economy works both ways. I think that this is going to go away. I don't think that this is going to work for very much longer. People are smart, contrary to popular belief, and can suss out this kind of behavior pretty quickly. I think naturally people will stop giving these people their attention, and they'll just fade away into history as like really shady individuals during the social media boom. So yeah, shady people exist, and as long as we ignore them, they'll go away. So that's what I plan to do with myself, because I know in life I can't control what other people do, but I can control myself. So I'm just going to ignore people that that I don't care about, that take away my valuable energy and emotional resources. No, thank you. I'm not interested. So the thing I really want to drive home in this video, like the reason I'm making this video, is that there are still so many amazing people making stuff on the internet. And it's not just like a dark, sad place. Like I've been able to virtually meet, very parasocial because they don't know who I am, but I've been able to see so many really cool people achieve such great things and like do so many great things. And I kind of wanted to spotlight that. People who I think have been a genuinely great influence on me, and who I will continue to watch, and who I will continue to root for their success and learn from. Like, I'm hoping through this video, like, you guys can get to know me a little bit more and, like, the things I like and value. So, like, if you vibe with me, you can totally stick around. And then if you don't, that's totally fine too, Go find your people. When it comes to, like, being an artist and, like, entrepreneurship and, like, kind of that bubble, because art and entrepreneurship go hand in hand, believe it or not. There are three main role models that I really look up to, that I love dearly. I love watching their videos. The first one being Baylee Jae. She's an OG art YouTuber. I used to watch her when I was a kid. Like, she started posting way back in the day, and she has made such a wonderful art business out of her platform. Like, honestly, like, amazing businesswoman in general. Her work ethic, her dedication, and like, she is like the blueprint, in my opinion, for like successful entrepreneurial artist who owns her own store and makes her own products.
And then Sailor Moon fan asks, I'll just ask what everyone wants to know, but is too polite to ask, lol. How much revenue did you make? How much profit did you make? What were the total expenses? How much on average does a shop update make? And how much of an increase in sales and revenue did this one make? So I don't have numbers for all of this, but I have some numbers. So the total amount I made from this shop update, like money that came in, gross revenue before any expenses are factored in, was $137,669 US.
That is amazing. Like, I love to see that in independent artists, and I really do think she's like a blueprint of sorts for up and coming artists who want to make a living off of like their creativity. Like, I love her channel. She's a big nerd. She's 2 cats who are adorable. I vibe with her very much. Love her content. Another successful artist entrepreneur is, her name is Tammy, and the channel is called Uncomfy Co. She is just a vibe. She just proves to me that like there is like a market for like things that just like bring people joy, for like these handmade little guys. And I love the store. She's killing it. She's definitely another person I look up to. Just like, her art's adorable. For her, like, those repetitive tasks of making like the same little clay figures over and over again, like, I think a lot of people would find tedious, but she finds relaxing and comforting, and I love that for her. I find like seeing other people's like thought processes and opinions like really interesting. I love knowing stuff about other people and artists and their process and how they do things. It's just like so cool. The last channel I want to mention for artists is Rafi and Klee, a husband and wife duo that are both amazing creators and just like all around super wholesome. I love their perspectives on things. They make videos, and they also have like a podcast that they do weekly where they talk about different art topics, but mostly like to do with like, you know, the emotional hurdles you have to get over, like being an artist, and like, bullshit you gotta go through and dredge up if you want to be an artist and be authentic and post yourself. And what I really appreciate about their perspective is that they were successful IRL outside of the internet, and I think that is a perspective that is sorely missed, you know, with internet content.
We've been in this for a long time, for close to 15 years, and it still feels as exciting as it did when we first started, right? And that's the way that I choose to see it, because your art career has its ebb and flows.
I find their perseverance and like thought processes so helpful and healthy. Just a wonderful podcast to listen to. I actually found them through their video where they talk about money.
And let me tell you, when you feel like you're struggling with money and you feel like you're a loser because of it, or that you don't have what it takes to get more money or to get out of debt, that's not a good place to be.
Right.
It doesn't put you in a mindset where you see opportunity.
No, you're not going to see opportunity. You're not going to be innovative. The productivity is going to die, because the reason that you're doing stuff at that point is because you're desperate. And that's one of the reasons that, like, not only in my book, but when in the videos, a lot of times I talk about being a desperate artist. And, hey, listen, if we lose our studio and our apartment, life goes on. If we lose our car, life goes on. Like there is very, very little that is going to be able to actually stop me in life. The one thing would be death.
After like listening to like a bunch of like hustle culture, business bro, dumb bullshit, just listening to them talk about their perspective is just so refreshing to like, oh God. Let's see if this works. We're doing a bit of an experiment. Also, the fun thing about art, by the way, just a little art tip while we're here. If you can draw it once, you can draw it again. So don't be afraid about ruining your artwork or whatever. The experiment is worth whatever risk you take, I promise. And you can always paint over it again. It's not a big deal, you know? So not only do I love, like, you know, art and entrepreneurship, I'm also a huge fan of, like, life commentary and philosophy channels. Some of the ones that are really, like, near and dear to my heart that are big inspirations for me are Contrapoints. She's a fucking icon, and she makes the most beautiful videos, like, aesthetically amazing. Like she is an artist through and through. Oh, she inspires so much about like what I want to like, where I want to like take my YouTube channel one day when I figure out what I'm doing. I should probably learn how to use my camera better, but you know, one thing at a time. I highly recommend her video on the darkness. Just changed my life. It was the video I needed the most. And I just, you know, just go watch it if you haven't seen it.
So all I really have left is what any aspiring artist with no talent turns to. Comedy. And I especially like dark comedy. You know, comedy about the things in life that are the most painful. But this puts me in a difficult situation because I want to defend my sense of humor, which I feel is like the core of my personality and what keeps me alive. But at the same time, I've noticed that a lot of the people in our culture who are really big on defending provocative, controversial, politically incorrect comedy are kind of, dick nuggets? Let's discuss this. And by discuss, I mean use it quietly and I'll tell you what to think. 2. Dick nuggets.
The next very influential person in my life is Jenny Nicholson. She creates like video essay type content, but basically about anything she's passionate about.
We all thought A Christmas Prince was Netflix doing a Hallmark Christmas movie, but we were wrong. It was Netflix doing a dark, dystopian franchise movie. First, let's cover the basics. If you think that all sounds very fluffy and happy and harmless, then you are as blinded by your arrogance as the Christmas Prince himself. The clever filmmakers have sprinkled little clues all throughout both movies that the Kingdom of Aldovia is not as merry as it appears. And I have organized all of those things into a numbered list.
She's just a riot. She's so funny. And like all of her videos are so well thought out, and I just love her. I've seen every video like 70 times. I'm a huge fan. And then last in this kind of like commentary philosophy section is D'Angelo Wallace. He's more of like the video essay type. He does very like thorough dissections and critiques of like pop culture, like current things that are going on in pop culture. He's so interesting. I love the way he talks.
Sticking out your gat obviously refers to, you know, posing with one's rear prominently displayed. And if you're doing this for the Rizzler, you have chosen to stick out your gat for somebody who you find to be very charismatic. So this is an observation of the individual who's being referred to in the second person, potentially the listener, and it's chronicling their behavior of seeking attention from this Rizzler person by flaunting their assets. You're so skibbity, you're so phantom tax. This, of course, we can identify as brain rot, but they don't actually mean anything, and the beauty of this is they don't have to mean anything. At most, you could say they have a generally positive connotation.
I think he's very funny, and just very thoughtful. Just like certain people, like I feel like their perspective is just kind of needed in the world. And I think by watching him, I become a better, well-rounded person. So, really enjoy his content. He recently posted a video that broke my heart because the title of the video, oh crap, I forgot what it's called. But it's like, does anyone else like feel like they'll never be happy?
Anyone else feel like they will never be happy? I do. It's not a rhetorical question. And I'm proud of myself for recently realizing, there was nothing to figure out. The fact that I never figured it out and just persisted in spite of all of that is pretty amazing when you really think about it. And I feel the same way about anybody who may be struggling. I could be 40, 45 and say to myself, it doesn't matter that I never figured it out. What did I do in spite of that? As long as the answer is as much as I could, hey, what do I even owe anybody? I don't owe the world happiness.
He's not afraid to dive into and talk about, the deep stuff. And that's what I really appreciate about him. And then the last category are kind of like the humanitarian, I don't know how else to categorize them. Let them influence me all day, every day. I love them. The first of them being Dr. K. Dr. K of Healthy Gamer. He is a man who was training to be a Buddhist monk. I think he was Buddhist. Was he Buddhist? Oh God, I don't know. He was training to be a monk. Not sure which type of monk. I'm a bad researcher, Emma. Come on, what the hell? Instead, he decided to become a doctor and learn. He's a Harvard-trained psychiatrist. He started his channel and started doing stuff online because he saw how bad the mental health crisis was getting, especially in young men. And he wanted to have a free resource available to help these, people during this, crazy time we live in, during this mental health crisis.
Oh my God, everything is so hard. Stress is so overwhelming. I have ADHD. ADHD cripples me in all of these 1,000 different ways. I'm so traumatized. I'm so triggered. Life is hard. Life is hard. Life is hard. These are the beliefs that we have, which then get reinforced. As they get reinforced, cognitive flexibility goes down, BDNF goes down. And this is the result. Today, we're going to talk about how we're all being brainwashed.
And I think it's really important for people to kind of understand how their brains work and like how humans are designed and like why they behave in ways that are like, not optimal. And I think like he's a great place to start, and he's a wonderful resource. He deserves all of the happiness in the world. I love that man. And now the last channel I want to talk about, they're a 2-in-1. It's the Vlog Brothers, John and Hank Green. I've watched them on and off again since I was very young. They're like another pair of OG YouTubers that are just like the pinnacle of Renaissance man is really the only way to describe them. They do so much and are like so talented in so many ways. I could gush about them forever, but John, the oldest brother, he is a world famous. he's a well decorated author. He's written a bunch of books you've probably heard of, and that are being turned into, or have been, or are being turned into movies. He also has banned books, which I feel like is quite a brag. He's written books so good that people who don't understand art and culture try to ban them. He has beef with his governor, which I think is hilarious. That's a true artist right there. And then we have Hank Green, which is the younger brother, who is just, he does everything. He's a musician, author as well. Most recently, stand-up comedian. Yeah, he made a stand-up comedy special about his cancer diagnosis, and like the whole like his journey through that, and like that's and I just I'll cry because I am a little bitch.
I was like, well, what about the cloudy P then? He said, oh, well, that's the cancer. And I said, what? The cancer makes your pee cloudy? And he said, no, that's the cancer. Like the chemotherapy kills the cells, like they explode, and then all their like lipids and proteins end up in the space between your cells. That gets picked up by your lymphatic system and then dumped into the circulatory system and then filtered out by your kidneys and put into your bladder, and then you pee it out into the toilet. And I was like, duh. You gotta tell people about that. You gotta tell people about that. That's very empowering. That's extremely, you're telling me that like when I see the cloudy pee, that I'm succeeding at killing cancer? And then I flush it into the sewer where it belongs? Like everybody who's taking chemotherapy or doing radiation should like get out of bed, but they should stand up to pee, and they should do it like this. I don't care what equipment you have, you can figure it out.
They also are the creators and founders of Complexly, which is a company, a big umbrella company basically, where they make all of your favorite educational shows. They made SciShow and Crash Course and Mental Floss and like a trillion other different shows that all have to do with like, you know, free education for people. Not only do they do that, they also have an online store called The Good Store where all of the profits go to charity. They have the iconic sock subscription where you can get a bunch of socks delivered to your door every month and all of the profit goes to charity, which is awesome. They have like a tea and coffee like branch of it now, and I think like soaps and stuff like that. So I think that is a wonderful use of a YouTube platform. I really, really, really love them. John has kind of come out and talked about his depression that he's been fighting, and I find it very valuable and insightful.
But probably what helped the most was meeting with my therapist and my psychiatrist. My psychiatrist was like, I think we need to shift your understanding of yourself and how it's informed by toxic online spaces. And nobody had ever quite said that to me before, but I needed to hear it. Some of the online spaces I engage in are pretty toxic. When I swim all day in that water and I get out and I wonder why I feel sick, it's a little bit like the Olympians swimming in the Seine. Like, I think I might know why you get sick. He says, when you talk to me, it sounds like your core belief about yourself is that you're kind of worthless, that you're sort of a piece of crap, and every piece of information you pick up on the internet that tells you you're a piece of crap, you think is true because it confirms your core belief. I really did believe that I was worthless. I think I said it in that last video I made. I believed that I was a piece of crap, which is a very strange thing to believe when human consciousness itself is so rare and precious and wonderful. So I've been working really hard on that, to embrace my belief that every human being, including me, deserves love and compassion and to be welcomed into the human fold with generosity and empathy. To me, the most important thing is that I'm not a piece of crap, and neither is anyone watching this.
We're all really just the same. No matter how like famous or successful like you get, you're still just a person. You're still just a silly little goose, you know? I think part of the problem is like I used to watch, this is like a tangent, by the way. So like I used to watch like a lot of like commentary videos. I think like expose videos got like really popular. Like this, I'm thinking like Sunny V2, you know, lol cow farming type content where it's like, you know, people focus on all of these like negative, like bad people. But like the problem with that is like, if you consume a lot of that content, it really like warps the way you see people's in reality. Same thing with the prevalence of, I think it's dying down now, but there was that huge trend of true crime content. Like, no wonder, like, we don't like humanity and that, like, we think everything sucks. Like, because that's kind of what we've been spotlighting, is all of the people and companies and governments and just, like, everything that's, like, horrible. Like, that's the thing that we're really focused on. And for good reason, too. Like, you have to know something exists in order for, like, things to change. Like, so I'm not completely against all of that kind of content. I just think, like, it needs to be balanced. People are processing a lot of trauma and abuse and stuff that's happened in their life. I guess my point of this video and the advice I really want to give anybody watching this is to really make sure that you're curating your social media, and, like, be really careful what you spend your time watching. And who you're paying attention to. Like, are these people that you like? Are these people that you feel like are having a positive influence and effect on you? Like, how do these people make you feel? Like, are they adding value to your life? You know? Like, do you really need to watch that 75th lolcow content farm video? No judgment. I've watched many of those. It is interesting. Humans love telling stories, and we love listening to stories about very interesting, eccentric people. I myself have had to really, really be careful about what I let myself listen to, because I am a sensitive little flower, and things like that really affect me. And and I need to be careful about what I allow into my brain, into my energy fields, into my, to my thought process. What's on the other side of the Dark Ages? Next stage will be the Renaissance, baby! Yeah! We're gonna do the Renaissance. I feel it in my bone. The Renaissance happened for so many reasons. Like, it's just like history is complicated.
Trump allies pledge holy war against Taylor Swift.
But one of the reasons was the invention of the printing press. So now information can be spread wildly and much faster. Basically, any time in human history where there has been a boom in in technical advancement in human communication, there has been just insane growth. And now we have the printing press on steroids, where anyone can make anything from the comfort of their own home, a la this. And the other thing is the philosophy of humanism. I printed it out. Let me read to you about humanism from the Humanist magazine. Humanism is a rational philosophy informed by science, inspired by art, and motivated by compassion. Affirming the dignity of each human being, it supports the maximization of individual liberty and opportunity consonant with social and planetary responsibility. It advocates the extension of participatory democracy and the expansion of open society, standing for human rights and social justice. Free of supernaturalism, it recognizes human beings as a part of nature and holds that values, be they religious, ethical, social, or political, have their source in human experience and culture. Humanism thus derives its goals of life from human need and interest, rather than theological or ideological abstraction, and asserts that humanity must take responsibility for its own destiny. Basically, the Black Plague happened in Europe and killed like a third of people. And then the cost and value of human life and labor skyrocketed, thus ending feudalism and sparking the beginning of the Renaissance. I'm not like super well educated on like history and different political topics. So, this is just, a girly chat, girly art chat video. So like, if you're interested, do go look at more scholarly sources. But like, I feel like we're in such a prime place to change some shit, and to like have a cultural shift towards like a rebirth and awakening or enlightenment in society. With the cost of living and the price of human labor not equaling out, and just like everything that's happening. So I don't know if it's gonna happen actually, or you know, it could happen tomorrow, it could happen in like the next decade, it could happen in the next lifetime. I don't know if it'll actually happen, but I can't control like the world. I can't control people. The only thing I can control is myself. So I'm gonna do the Renaissance myself. If you guys would like to join me, that would be awesome. You know, it's a lot easier and better if like a lot of people do it, because then it's like a cultural movement and not just like one lady in her kitchen. Because honestly, I've never felt more powerful in my entire life than I do now. Something I've learned through many years of trial and error and pain and suffering and perseverance is that once you have conquered yourself, you've already won. Then everything else just falls into place